I'm a Christian woman of God, and you are not going to put your disgusting rules on me that are false and not true.
I know my rights. I do not have to have a driver's license to drive a car.
Everyone's met a Karen at some point in their life, doing something outwardly annoying and outrageous in public. Well, sometimes these people come face to face with the law and realize that what they're doing isn't allowed in many cases. Here we have 3 instances of Karens acting entitled towards police officers.
I don't care! Come get my now!
From this lovely first impression, I'm sure you can get a feeling for what kind of person Christina Pilet is. On September 8, 2022, an officer was dispatched in reference to a routine-sounding car accident. It involved an older woman and a younger woman, both driving SUVs, at a stop sign turnoff on one minor highway.
So I'm here.
So you were right here?
And then a few months, I guess, she turned into here and she just ran right into me. And then I ended up there.
Were you in the roadway yet or no?
No.
So you were right here?
Yeah.
So you were stopped right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, so I could see you take my life.
I gotcha. Can you use your driver's license real quick?
My driver's license?
Yep. And the insurance for your car? And then I'll meet up with you in a sec. You just wait right over here for me, okay?
This older woman was one of the parties in the accident and explains that she hadn't actually turned out into the road yet. Instead, she was stopped normally at the stop sign, maybe a few inches forward, so that she could see better for her left turn. But otherwise, everything was normal. She was not the one at fault in this accident.
Hi. Do you have a driver's license on you? And your insurance?
I want to call my dad first.
Okay, but I still need your driver's license and insurance, okay?
Why?
What
Because
happened?
that woman is going off her rocker.
What happened today?
My grandma died.
I'm sorry.
That's what happened
Today?
today.
I'm so sorry.
And I was going to the special cemetery. And that's when I got into the car accident. I think that was just the current one.
I understand, but so she's buried here. She passed away 2 days ago. So you were coming today to pay her respects, grieve, or just to visit her today.
I was coming here to pay my respects for my grandma.
I understand that.
Well, right off the bat, it's pretty easy to see that this woman is under some sort of influence, most likely alcohol. In the first minute of meeting with the officer, she tells a lie. She claims that her grandmother died that day, but that she's also going to the cemetery to visit the grave of her grandmother who died 2 days ago. So, yeah. Seems like she doesn't really have her story all lined up well, and it's clear that she was in no condition to be driving. Despite her grief, she doesn't have the right to put so many people in danger like that.
So, what happened here? How did this occur? How did the accident?
Because she was too close to my end. And when I went into there and I told, you know what, tell her to stop.
Well, she's just taking her whatever photo she needs for the insurance. Okay? So, do you have a newer copy of the insurance?
What do you need right now? Okay, like, seriously, what do you need
So I
right
need your
now?
driver's license.
Okay,
So I need your driver's license. That's your registration.
okay,
And I don't need that. I need your driver's license.
okay.
It's right there. How much did you have to drink today?
I didn't have anything. I told my mom told me that my grandma passed away
Okay.
and that they were going to the monument.
Okay. Today? They were going to the
Yes.
monument today?
Yes, and that's why I'm so upset. So you can talk to my parents then.
I don't need to talk to your parents. I need to talk to you, because you're the one involved in this accident. That's not your driver's license either, man.
Oh, my driver's license.
This woman is severely drunk, to the point that she's not even able to find her driver's license. She also handed him an expired copy of her insurance, though that one's a bit more understandable. Some people just never take out the old copy and keep piling them up inside their car. She even offers the man a tissue when all he was asking for was her driver's license. She's lucky that nobody was seriously hurt in this accident, or she wouldn't be getting such kind treatment from the officer. He's been quite patient with her thus far, but if she'd hurt somebody, there would be bigger problems.
So how much did you drink today?
None. I did not. I have 2 different breathalyzer things in my car.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do.
Where are they?
Did you not see me point to them?
Well, those are garage door openers.
Which are also breathalyzing submission.
Oh, that's cool.
This is, well, I'm sure that I don't have to tell you that there are no combo garage door openers and breathalyzers. It's hilarious to see how hard she's trying to talk like she's sober when in fact she is making 0 sense to anybody but herself.
So she was buried today, or?
She's being buried here today, and if all of you guys are here,
What time?
I don't know.
I need your phone number, Christina.
I know, and I'm gonna call my brother-in-law, who is a 411.
He's a 411? What's a 411?
And you can tell your whomever for the 4th of July. Tell them good luck.
I see. All right, Christina, I need your phone number for the report.
Yeah, and I'm gonna talk to my in private.
That's not a phone. It's a hand
I know it's a hand wet. It's still a phone. It's still a phone. Okay?
Oh, it's a phone too.
Don't read.
Whatever this lady is on must be some real strong stuff. She's claiming that a hand wipe is a phone. She's randomly bringing up the 4th of July. She's making abstract claims. It's really just a bunch of nonsense. You have to think on what the officer must have been thinking right about now, because very little of this is usable in any capacity. It must be a pretty easy cut and dry DUI though.
Alright, Christina, can you step out of the car for me?
Yeah.
Alright. Step right back here for me, okay? You said no medication, nothing?
I'm on medication.
Alright. The reason I'm asking is the way you're speaking and the way you're acting, you're holding up a hand wipe as a phone. Alright? And you're telling me that you were trying to turn in here, but you went straight across this way and slammed into her.
Scared about what was happening.
So how much did you have to drink today?
Today, I didn't drink anything.
Okay.
I was here for my babshas,
Right.
gravy,
Right.
and that's all I was.
Okay. What'd you take today?
I didn't take anything today, officer.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright. Can you do this for me? Can you put your feet together for me just like that? You see it? You see the tip of my pen? Yeah. Alright. What I want you to do is I want you to stare at the tip of my pen. Alright? Using your eyes and only your eyes.
I can't wait for my dad to pull you over.
Perfect. So stay at the tip of my pen, okay? And what I want you to do is using your eyes and only your eyes. I want you to follow the tip of my pen. Okay? You understand?
Yes, I do. Just do it already.
I know,
God
but
damn
I gotta go through all these instructions now.
How many times are you gonna do it till you know I can do it?
It's a few times, unfortunately. I gotta go through all the steps.
And then you're gonna run into my dad, and he's gonna tell you to go.
Christina, can you
Yes.
do this for me?
I've done it.
This is where the barrage of tests begins, and the first one up is the pen test. It's pretty clear to see that she does not do a great job at it. Her head moves several times during the process, which is what you aren't supposed to do during this test. Only your eyes are supposed to move. At this point, it's pretty much just doing the test for protocol because it's extremely evident how messed up she is.
Alright. So next what I want you to do, alright,
Oh.
if you can.
What, you want me to stand on my hand with 1, 2
No.
feet? I can't do that regardless.
No, luckily we don't have to do any handstands. So here's what I want you to do, alright?
What do you want?
Take a few steps back real quick. Move back a little bit. Alright, stop right there. Alright? So keep your hands flat on your sides. Heel to toe just like this. We're going to take a series of 9 steps.
I can't do it
Are you saying you're not able to do this?
because of my back
Because of your back?
problems.
So you're not
I
able-
have curvular
So
back.
are you saying you physically cannot do this?
I will try, but I'm telling you, I have
Well, this
back
is, I know, but this is
problems.
why I'm asking you. Can you physically
And
do
you're holding me up
this? Right.
from my
So can you
grandma's funeral.
At this point, they've put her up against the dreaded walk in a straight line test, which this woman claims that she's unable to do. Now, I'm not going to judge anyone for any medical issues, and she does claim that she has a curvular back, whatever that means, but walking in a straight line seems pretty, I don't know, par for the course of living?
Stop,
Present.
stop,
I
stop,
want-
stop.
No, you
All right,
do
turn
not
around. Christina,
touch
turn
me.
around. Put your hands behind your
You
back.
do not touch
Turn
me.
around. Put your hands behind your back.
I want to talk
Turn
to
around.
my
Put your hands
attorney.
behind your back. You can call them when we get to the station. Turn around, please. Okay?
You are
Turn around.
hurting me.
Turn around. All right. You're under arrest for DUI.
No, I'm not. I'll do whatever test you want
It's
me
too
to.
late, Christina. All right. All right. All right.
This is absolutely ridiculous. You're hurting me.
Calm down.
You
we're
are
walking.
hurting me.
All you need to do is walk. Alright, hold on, Christina. I gotta make sure there's nothing in your pockets.
There's nothing in my pockets. You're seriously gonna make me miss my grandma's funeral?
I don't think it'll surprise anyone to see Christina being arrested for DUI, with her situation escalating much further than she wanted. And of course, she's quite distraught about missing her grandmother's funeral, which might or might not have been going on that day.
Alright,
Just
Christina,
so you
step
know
out. Careful, I don't want you to fall.
that it is my
Mm-hmm.
I do not tie my gym shoes.
Okay. Careful, I don't want you to fall.
So,
Okay. Really quickly, I want you to take a look, make sure nothing is left in this vehicle. Alright. Confirm you didn't leave anything in this vehicle, correct?
I ain't confirming to anything.
Okay, well, if
You
anything
can't-
gets found, you get charged with it, so that's why I'm asking you.
No, my dad will be finding you.
Okay.
I did not do a field sobriety test the correct
Christina,
way.
do you want to
because
take the
you have
elevator,
to
or
take-
do you want to go up the stairs?
I'm not
Okay.
staying for the. I hope you feel good about yourself. Arresting me.
Christina continues to claim that she didn't take a field sobriety test the correct way when she refused to do the straight line tests. It is a bit strange that she wasn't breathalyzed, but they'll likely be doing that at the station itself.
I have the right to my phone. It says it right here under people arrested or retained by the popo.
Go ahead, take your time and read it, and let me know what it says, alright?
Give me my phone.
Christina.
I want my phone. Do you think I'm scared of you?
It's not about being scared. It's about me trying to get your paperwork done so you can get out of here.
What, how do you pronounce your your
Jimenez.
dad? I got arrested coming to your mother's funeral. Okay? Yeah. So you tell your sister that she is not part of my family. They said that I'm under the influence. I'm at the Niles police station. Come and get me now. And tell your sister to go off. I don't ever want to talk to your sister ever again. I don't care. Come get my now.
Christina, do you want me to talk to him?
I wish Christina's dad the very best because he has quite a lot to deal with right now. If his mother just died and his daughter is acting like this, Christina was arrested and charged with DUI alcohol, failing to reduce speed to avoid an accident, and improper lane usage. She was released on an I bond, and there's little information to that follow-up, but it's very likely that she was allowed to pay a fine and walk away. And if you think this person is delusional, check out this next woman, Cara Bell. It's always wonderful when it starts out with someone refusing to identify themselves. Luckily, we've got a bit of background information on Miss Cara Bell. While engaged in shopping at Nordstrom Rack, Miss Bell entered the fitting room area where store employees approached her, requesting that she wear a mask in accordance with the store's policy. Miss Bell purportedly informed the employees that she possessed a health exemption and was not obligated to wear a mask. However, the store personnel insisted that she could not remain in the store without adhering to the mask requirement, which led to a tense situation.
Call taker able to get a last name. She's refusing the ID.
You did say I had to have an ID to be here.
No, we need that. You need to give
Didn't
us
you say?
identification.
Okay. This
Was the call
lady
taker
said I had to
able
have
to
an
get
ID
a
here. We both
last
know
name?
it's
She's
false.
refusing to identify herself.
It's my God-given right to be here on this planet, and you cannot tell me otherwise. Correct? You just lied to me.
I lied to you about what?
You said I had to have an ID to be here.
No, you
That's
got to
not what I
identify
said.
yourself.
When you're
Oh.
legally detained, you can play back on your video. When you're legally detained, you have a duty to identify yourself to a police officer.
Okay, so they're saying when I'm legally detained, which I was not, that I have the
Can you try to run her without a date of birth? White female, approximately 45 years of age.
According to details from a police report, one of the store employees attempted to prevent Miss Bell from entering the fitting room by physically obstructing her path. The situation escalated as Miss Bell continued to push her way through, ultimately resulting in her shoving one of the employees. Subsequently, the police were summoned to the scene.
How am I legally detained? Can you?
We were called here to investigate
after I was
because.
shoved.
Okay, so they're
And
saying
I called
that.
you too.
Okay, so let
I
me.
called the police too.
Are
but
you
they're
going to let
only
me talk, or are you going to be the
employee
only one
of Nordstrom
talking?
Rack?
Because right now, as a call taker, I know you want to have them on there for your safety purposes.
Yes.
But right now, you and I need to be talking, not them.
Says who?
You need to continue having a conversation with me. So
Because?
you said that she shoved you.
She
you want to
did.
file assault charges. She's saying you shoved her, and she has witnesses. You have witnesses to say that she shoved you.
She has the manager?
No.
No. Okay.
There are other employees that were in the fitting
I
room.
would hope. Okay, other employees. Well, there's also another woman without a mask. Isn't that interesting? How she only
Okay.
picked me?
Well, I have nothing to
She
do
only
with that at
picked
all.
me, the white person, not the black person wearing a mask. Do you think it's a racist thing?
Cara Bell is attempting to convince the officers that she was in fact the one who was shoved first, rather than it being the other way around. She also brings up the fact that she's a white woman while the other woman was black, and says that it might have something to do with race. It absolutely doesn't have anything to do with race. She just can't admit that she was in the wrong for not wearing a mask during a worldwide pandemic. Upon the arrival of these law enforcement officers, Miss Bell had already entered one of the fitting rooms and was in the process of trying on clothes. Officers engaged with Miss Bell and requested her to exit the fitting room, which she eventually did while still wearing store merchandise. Approximately 15 minutes after the police arrived, Miss Bell left the store, expressing her discontent with the officers. It is worth noting that Miss Bell is a candidate running for position 2 on the Lake Travis ISD School Board. However, the Lake Travis Independent School District refrained from providing further comments, citing election laws.
I don't know.
We're not here to talk about race.
Well, you know what?
At
It
all.
kind of seems like it's a racist thing when the black woman doesn't have a mask on, but she comes after the white woman. That's the only
Okay, so
difference.
that's
We're
something
both
where you would
women.
file a complaint with Nordstrom Rack.
Okay, but I also want to file a complaint with you for her assaulting me.
Okay,
by
and she
shoving
also
me.
wants to file assault charges
Okay,
against you.
Okay. They have cameras at Nordstrom to prove all this.
Do you have a middle name?
Do you have a middle name?
Yeah, my name is Gene.
What is it?
Realizing that's a
G?
negative.
Do you have a
First
middle
name?
name?
White female,
R.
approximately
Jean Eller?
5'8"
Do you
to
have a middle
5'10".
name?
Why is it your business?
Because we have to identify you. If I can't identify you, I'm taking you to jail.
Okay. This is
Okay.
getting weird. Now they're saying if they can't identify me, they're taking me to jail.
This woman seems adamant in not identifying herself, despite the fact that she's claiming that she wants to press charges. There are several things wrong with this. First, in order to press charges, you need to identify yourself to the police. Second, she is being detained because of what she did, which is another situation in which you need to identify yourself to officers. This officer is correct when he says that if she doesn't provide ID, they are allowed to take her to jail. Whether or not you agree with that law, that is the law.
How do you identify the homeless?
That's
They
negative.
tell us their names, their date of birth. They work with us.
Are
You're
you able
not
to look
working
up
with us here.
anything
Working
or
with you, I was
reverse
just
check on the
assaulted
cell
at
phone
a
number
store
that
for
you
not
called?
We
doing
can't
anything
get to
wrong.
that. We can't get to that point. We're not on either side. We don't know what's
You
going
are.
on
You
because
are
we
taking
can't identify
sides.
you.
You are taking sides. Robert Eugene Eller, you are taking
Not
sides.
Eugene.
Robert Gene Eller, you are taking sides.
I'm not taking
and it's
sides.
really sad.
Listen.
It's really sad.
We're trying to get information from you, but we can't even get any information from you.
This happened at Nordstrom Rack.
Ma'am, you need to stand over
Sam, you
here.
can't leave because right now you're still detained.
No, you can't. You are being detained.
Why am I being detained?
Because
Please.
we don't know who you are.
Okay, I'm being detained because they don't know who I am.
Okay?
Which
We were called
apparently
here.
is illegal.
We were called here for a situation, okay?
A situation where I was.
Which we're
We
investigating.
don't
So if
know.
you are
We're
a victim,
investigating it.
Okay, where's the investigator?
If
Are you
you're-
an investigator?
ma'am,
We are officers. We
Kara,
have to figure out
Bell.
what's going on.
if you're a victim of assault, we need to know who you are.
Carabelle.
So-
How did you know my name was Carabelle?
Because I heard you say it. You said it on the phone when you called 911. That's how I
No,
know.
you just called and got it. Don't lie.
No.
You are lying to me. I just heard you call the police officer that I talked to and get my name.
Garabelle is continuing to make a big deal out of the fact that the officers need to know her name, and seems to be quite aggravated when one of them finally brings it up. She begins to call the officer a liar, which could be the case, but it's also probably not the best idea when it comes to a situation where you're already being detained. The authorities in Sunset Valley clarified their adherence to the county's judge's mask order in a statement. This order mandated the wearing of face coverings within commercial establishments open to the public or in outdoor public spaces where maintaining a distance of at least 6 feet from individuals outside one's household is not feasible. Exceptions apply to individuals under the age of 10 and those with medical conditions or disabilities that prevent mask usage, among others. Kara claimed to have a medical exemption, but nothing of the sort was presented with the officers. And I'm sure you all remember how many people claimed that to get out of wearing a mask with no real reason whatsoever.
Now you're
It's not a
lying.
police officer on the phone.
Now
When
you're
you were
lying.
in the fitting room.
You
I
are
heard.
lying. Stop. This
Okay.
is the second time I caught you in a lie.
Okay, replay your video. I'm not
Okay.
lying.
Okay.
Making the situation worse.
No, you are. By not following the law. First of all, I don't have to identify myself.
Yes, you do.
Actually, I don't. It's called common law. You should read up on it. I do not. Okay? So we both know that I don't. I am a woman of God. This is my right as much as it is yours. This is my land as much as it is yours. I did not sign up for this. I am a Christian woman of God, and you are not going to put your disgusting rules on me that are false and not true. I will not have it. Do you understand that? I will not have it. I'm sick of being bullied. I'm sick of being lied to, and it's not going to happen anymore. Do you understand? The CDC just released.
Turn around.
Oh my gosh. Oh my
We're about
gosh.
to play this game.
Oh my gosh.
Evidently, being a Christian woman of God permits Miss Carabelle to get away with anything and not have to follow the disgusting laws of the country that she lives in. Well, in the end, she escalates the situation by not complying, and she's arrested and taken away by law enforcement. She was in fact charged with that assault and was issued a citation for a Class C misdemeanor with a fine of $500. It's not clear whether or not the employee actually did go through with pressing charges, but Carabelle was barred from their store for a year and, hopefully, will never be coming back. But if you think she was bad, she's got nothing on this next woman. Smith Haley Brooke.
Young lady, Officer Banks, Golf Breeze Police Department. I'm pulling you over. You're doing 54 and a 35. Any reason for that speed tonight?
Where's the 35?
Before you got off the bridge, and as soon as you came off the bridge. All this is 35.
I was going 40, I thought.
Nope. You got your license, registration, proof of insurance.
You don't have to have a license to drive a car.
Yes, you do.
You do not.
15-7, 41 with me. Ma'am, step out the vehicle. Step out the vehicle.
Am I have I done a crime?
Yeah, you are being detained right now. Step out the vehicle, young lady.
I know my rights.
Either you step out the vehicle, or I will remove you from the vehicle.
I know my rights.
15-7, sovereign
supervisor out here right now.
sovereign citizen.
Did you hear what I said? You need to get a supervisor out here right now.
No, you need to step out the vehicle right now. Young lady, step out the vehicle. Step out the vehicle. Last time I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask, and then I'm going to make you step out the
You're
vehicle.
going to get me a supervisor out here right now.
No, you're going to step out the vehicle right now.
You are going to get me a supervisor out here right now.
That's fine.
Did you guys know that, apparently, you don't need a license to drive a car? What a crazy thing. All this time I had my license for nothing. But in all seriousness, this is quite a bizarre stance to take when confronted with an officer. Even if you personally believe in something like common land or common law, when presented with an officer of the society you live in, you need to be informed of what you need to do. While conducting a routine patrol on the Pensacola Bay Bridge, this officer noticed the woman's gray GMC Terrain traveling at 52 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone. The officer promptly positioned their vehicle behind the speeding GMC and ran a check on the license plate. It was discovered that the registration had expired as of October 2021, because apparently, registration isn't required to drive a car either.
So, you do need a license to drive a vehicle. And you do have to identify yourself to these officers.
I do not have to have a license to drive a vehicle.
Yes, you do.
I do not.
You're wrong, but okay.
I know common law, natural law.
I don't care about common law.
constitutional
You're in the
I
state
know
of
that
Florida.
You don't.
You're in the
You're
state
in
of Florida.
Canada law.
You're in the state of
It
Florida.
doesn't matter in what state
It does
I'm in.
matter.
I'm in the U.S.
It does matter. So you better hope the information you gave us comes back as to being you. So at this point in time, I need you to shut the vehicle off and step out of the car.
I'm not getting out of the vehicle.
You're going to get out of the car.
I haven't been suspected of a crime.
You are being legally stopped on a traffic stop. You are not being cooperative. It is not a Terry stop.
What
Trust
crime
me,
am
I know the
committing?
difference. You were speeding.
Speeding
Turn the
is a
vehicle
crime.
off and get out of the car. Out of the car now. Undo the
Let me
seatbelt.
turn the vehicle off.
Turn it off now.
Officer Schaefer, unbuckle her.
Put all that down.
Step out, turn around, face away from me. Turn around, face away
Turn
from me.
around.
I do not have to have a driver's license to drive a vehicle.
Yes, you do.
No, I do not.
Well, then you can tell that to the judge if you end up going to jail.
I do not have to have a driver's license to drive a vehicle. I have all the laws right there.
I
in the
don't
back
care
of my
what I don't
car.
care what laws you say you
I
have.
know that you don't care because you're
Then you
supposed
then
to be
you
a police
then
officer,
you should
a
know
peace
that
officer.
this is that you should know that this conversation's over then.
She did bring up common law. For some reason, all these people go on and on about the same things, which aren't even applicable to them. At least she eventually got out of the vehicle on her own without having to be dragged out of the car.
I live right down there.
Where's your ID out of, or your license out of?
Mississippi.
I just thought you didn't have one. You
Sir,
just said you don't need one.
This is ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. We're
Yes,
not going
it
to play
is.
any of these games with you tonight.
It's not a game. This is my rights as a,
It's not
as a
your rights.
citizen.
It's not your rights.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. You're in the state of Florida. The state of Florida requires you to have a driver's
No,
license to operate a motor
no,
vehicle.
Sir, it doesn't matter what state I'm in.
See, that's your problem is you say it doesn't matter, but it does.
I have
In
the
this
laws
country,
in
it
my
does.
car.
I don't care about what laws you
Sir,
say you have.
You should care about the
I
laws
don't.
and the rights
but
of citizens. You're a
we
peace
know your
officer.
rights. We know your rights.
No, you
You
don't.
don't
I
know
know
your
my-
rights.
yes,
no,
I
you
do.
don't.
Yes, I do.
Because if you knew your rights, you knew, or you would know, and should know, that you must have a driver's license to operate a motor vehicle. And if I find out that if I find out that you are not giving us the right information to identify
I gave
you,
the right information. Why would I do that? I'm trying to use my rights as a legal citizen. Why would I
you do that? Well, you would do that because you don't have a valid driver's license.
I don't have a valid driver's license. I don't have to have a valid driver's license.
You do.
No, I do not.
Okay.
Upon conducting a check on the driver's information, it was revealed that her Mississippi driver's license had been expired since October 21st, 2021. So she does have a license? You're probably thinking, why wouldn't she tell him? It's probably better to give an expired license than no license at all. Well, the records indicated an active warrant for her arrest in Santa Rosa County due to failure to appear for driving while license expired. So she already knew all of this. She was just trying to be difficult. How surprising.
You failed to appear on a court appearance for, what was it, expired license? Yep. So your Mississippi driver's license is expired.
And for the registration.
Okay, and the registration. So you had a court date that you missed. Do you remember that?
No, I don't. Can I please call my mother?
You cannot.
Why?
Because you don't need to call you. Are you an adult?
Yes.
Then why do you need to call your mother?
To come and get me from jail since I'm being illegally detained.
You will be able to call her once you get there.
Can I at least lock my car?
We will make sure it is secure.
What are you going to do with my car?
Probably tow it.
Why?
Because you are driving without a license.
I don't have to have a license to drive. That is commercial driving.
It is not commercial driving.
Yes, it is.
It's curious as to whether or not she keeps repeating this because she genuinely believes it, or because she's dialed in on some sort of delusion, regardless of how ridiculous it sounds. A license is required all across the United States, and pretty much throughout the entire world. It's ridiculous to claim otherwise.
Ma'am, I'm telling you right now. No, stop. I'm telling you, didn't piss us off.
I obviously have, because y'all are detaining me illegally.
No, you're being arrested, is what's happening. And you have not pissed us off. We are doing our job.
No,
whether you agree or not doesn't matter. It's a moot
take
point.
Orders from the top. You don't know the laws and the rights. Law is canon law.
We do.
Sergeant Turner.
And in this country, what laws do we follow?
Canon law. Y'all follow canon law. We follow
The rest
natural
of it.
law.
Who is
common
we?
law.
Who is we? Who's we? Tell me who we is.
Police officers.
No, police officers. We are police officers. We're not peace officers. We're police officers.
Yes, I know that now.
So then your argument just needs to stop, and you just need to sit there quietly.
Sergeant Turner, please just let me go home.
No.
Why?
Because you do not have a valid driver's license, and you have done nothing but give my officers a hard time during this entire ordeal.
I tell you that I have rights.
This woman now claims that the police officer in front of her doesn't know the law. Now, of course, some don't, and there have been plenty of issues around this case, but she's not claiming it in an ACAB way. She's claiming it in a, there is a different set of laws that us citizens are allowed to follow, and you can't do anything about it kind of way.
Can I please call my mother?
No, you will be able to call your mother from the jail.
Please let me go ahead and call her so she can head there.
No.
She's sleeping, please.
By the time you get booked in and everything, it'll be early enough in the morning. You can call her, and she'll probably be getting up.
This is going to take hours?
It's not going to take hours, but it's going to take some
Sergeant
time.
Turner, please. Can you just
The answer is no.
You got some karma.
I'm not worried about my karma.
I know.
No, you know what I'm actually worried about? People like
You're
you who think that laws don't... No, there is no quota. It's people like you who believe that laws don't pertain to them. And that's just not the case.
They don't.
Then enjoy spending a lifetime in and out of jail, because that is what will happen.
Though it won't, actually.
If you continue to act like this and do this, it will.
I'm not acting like anything.
Then I would suggest moving back to Mississippi.
I'm not moving back to Mississippi.
Then if you stay living here and driving a car without getting a valid driver's license, that is what is going to happen.
She seems absolutely shocked that being arrested takes a couple hours, and that it's not a get-in, get-out sort of deal. She also claims that she's never been to jail, which was true, up until this day.
I've already been through roadblocks with state troopers with this.
Then they're not very good state troopers.
Yes, they are, because they know their rights. And they know the law.
No, if they let you through with this garbage, they're not.
This is not garbage.
It's garbage.
Have you done any research into it?
More than you will ever know.
Okay,
You're not the first
you would know
one.
it's not garbage.
You're not the first person I've run across that thinks this way. And,
yeah, I know.
And
we're a problem right
those
now.
other people went to jail too.
Good.
To claim that she's been through state trooper roadblocks with this kind of nonsense? Hopefully that isn't true. If it is, there are some rough troopers out there who know even less of the law than she does. During a search of Miss Smith Haley Brooks' car, the officers find a bag of white powder. Later down the line, it tests positive for cocaine. They also find ammunition, but no sign of a weapon, which escalates things.
Where's the gun in the car?
The gun? There's no gun in that car.
There seems to be ammo.
The gun's in the pawn shop.
When did you pawn it?
Like 2 months ago.
So why are you still just carrying around ammo?
I didn't know that ammo was in there. What's wrong with carrying around ammo? What can I do without a gun?
Nothing. All right, is wrong with it. But if there's ammo, normally there's a gun. And since the vehicle's being towed, we want to keep the gun in safekeeping.
I didn't give y'all permission to search my vehicle either.
Your vehicle's being towed. We're inventorying it. We're not searching it.
Yes, you are. You're searching my vehicle.
You say that our laws don't matter to you, so what does it matter?
Obviously, I don't have any laws right now.
She gets a bit miffed at them for searching her car, which is fair because we're not searching it, we're inventorying it, is a bit of a shoddy excuse.
Give me your full name. Give me your full name. Look at me, give me your full name. Give me your full name. Drugs inside the vehicle, you are under arrest now for possession of felony narcotics.
But his clapback is quite funny. She has been arguing against their laws all night, but now suddenly she wants to follow this one?
No, there's plenty of laws. You're just breaking them.
I don't have to mind laws that aren't valid.
They're valid laws.
They are not valid laws.
The United States and the state of Florida seem to think they are.
The United States has a constitution that we fall under.
Right.
Statutes, mandates, codes.
So
none of that matters.
So under our Constitution, it still gives the state governments the right to govern themselves, correct?
That's right. And the sheriff has all the power.
That's right.
That's right.
The sheriff does. He is the
yes.
head law enforcement officer.
He's not part of NATO. He's not part of the Council on Foreign Relations.
I'm not part of NATO either.
Well, you take orders from the top.
Nope, I don't.
Yes, you do.
You know who I take my orders from? My chief of police.
Exactly. And he takes orders from the top.
Who's the top?
You want me to give him one name? I mean, that would be impossible.
I don't know who the top is.
I know, because you haven't done research.
Ah, the mythical orders from the top. But she won't provide any claim as to who the top is, or why everyone is seemingly taking orders from them. These sorts of delusions are quite common on narcotics, so it's no surprise she's having them here.
Y'all should be helping the people.
We do help.
No, you don't.
We do.
You
don't know anything.
Everybody.
You don't know anything about us.
I do.
To sit there and say that I don't help anyone, that my officers over there don't help anyone.
Y'all aren't helping me right now.
You're not helping yourself because you choose to not get a valid driver's license.
That's totally changing.
You're just playing a victim.
I'm not playing a victim.
That's what you're doing.
I'm not a victim. I'll never be a victim. I hate that mentality.
Then why are you playing all these excuses as to you don't need a driver's license?
It's not an excuse. I have the laws in that car. That's why I ride around with them.
Why?
I have the book of the Constitution
to educate people like me?
I don't think that you're interested in learning anything.
She doesn't think he's interested in learning, and that would be correct, because she's got nothing valuable to say to him. Miss Brooke, after this, would be charged and convicted with felony possession of cocaine and misdemeanors of DUI and operation of a motor vehicle without a valid license. It's too soon to know any details of the outcome, but maybe she'll be able to tell us when she gets out on common law bond. Surely that's a thing in her little fantasy land. All three of these Karens had something in common. They made fools of themselves. Maybe they'll do better in the future, but, like I said, we all know a Karen.